Black Lives Matter has criticized the Democratic Party for anointing Vice President Kamala Harris as the expected Democrat presidential nominee without a public vote. President Joe Biden announced on Sunday that he was leaving the presidential race and endorsed Harris to replace him at the top of the Democratic ticket to face Donald Trump, the Republican nominee. In November, Biden had faced pressure to step aside after a disastrous debate performance. Last month magnified concerns about the 81-year-old's age and ability to beat Trump and serve a second term.
By Monday evening, Harris had secured the support of enough Democratic delegates to become her party's nominee, the Associated Press reported. Responding to the development, Black Lives Matter criticized Democrats for not giving voters a say and called on the Democratic National Committee to host a virtual snap primary ahead of the party's convention in August. Newsweek has contacted Black Lives Matter, the Harris campaign, and the DNC for comment via email.
Democratic Party elites and billionaire donors are attempting to manipulate Black voters by anointing Kamala Harris and an unknown vice president as the new Democratic ticket without a primary vote by the public, Black Lives Matter said in a statement.
This blatant disregard for democratic principles is unacceptable. While the potential outcome of a Harris presidency may be historic, the process to achieve it must align with true democratic values.
We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Any attempt to evade or override the will of voters in our primary system, no matter how historic the candidate, must be condemned. We demand a virtual snap primary now that the incumbent president is no longer in the running.
Harris is the first woman, Black person, and person of South Asian descent to serve as vice president. If she becomes the Democratic nominee and defeats Trump in November, she would be the first woman to serve as president.
Black Lives Matter said any process that does not include voters could undermine Harris or another Democrat if they win the White House in November. Let us be clear, this is about the Democratic Party following a process that protects the legitimacy of any future Democratic president. Following this unprecedented moment,
Installing Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee and an unknown vice president without any public voting process would make the modern Democratic Party a party of hypocrites. It would undermine their credibility on issues related to democracy.
Imagine our first Black woman president not having won some sort of public nomination process. The pundits would immediately label it as affirmative action or a DI diversity, equity, and inclusion, and any progress made by a President Harris would be on shaky foundations. If Kamala Harris is to be the nominee, it must be through a process that upholds democratic principles and public participation.
Some Republicans have already sought to cast Harris as a DI hire. The incompetency level is at an all-time high in Washington. The media propped up this president, lied to the American people for 3 years, and then dumped him for our DI vice president. Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee wrote on X, formerly Twitter, on Monday.